Halo series, yeah, I started playing the Halo series in 2013. I sold my PS3. I had it for a couple of years, but saying, you know what, fuck, I want to play the Halo series, man. Everyone, like my friends, played Halo in high school, so I thought I need to play Halo too, because I saw Halo Reach in Tesco once. You know, it was this 2010. They all box copies, like right in front of the store, and I was like, I wish I had a 360 so I could play these games. And so what I did, I sold my PS3, and then I got my Xbox in about 2013, mid 2013, and then I started playing the fucking Halo series, boys. So anyway, we're gonna talk about the top 5 Halo games, Bungie Halo games. By the way, we're not talking about 4 or 5 or Spartan Assault or Halo Wars 1 and 2. It's strictly top 5 Bungie games because there's only 5 really Bungie games. So think of this as my initial top 5. This isn't my final top 5. Remember, it is a personal list, and the last time I played Halo was the Master Chief Collection, which was like 4 or 5 years ago now. So yeah, a while ago. So, and I do plan on obviously playing the Halo games in chronological order when the Steam version comes out. But anyway, let's get to the
Top 5.
Remember, this is campaigns only.
So starting at number 5, we got Halo Combat Evolved. Okay, this game is absolutely amazing. Like, it's simple, it's mysterious, and it's got an unforgettable atmosphere. Like, this might be controversial, but the only game I can think of when I think of Halo Combat Evolved's atmosphere, I think of Half-Life, the first Half-Life. It's in some ways it is similar, and you feel lonely in this game, genuinely lonely. But that's definitely one of the niche qualities that I feel like this is the only game that kind of you feel like that in the Halo series. And also in the Anniversary Edition, there's like terminals you can go and unlock, and they give you these cutscenes, if I remember, and it was nice to explore. Solid campaign, had a great ride through it, exploring these big maps. But I will say that the reason why it's number 5, and all of these games are of course amazing, is that the level design, and there's a particular section. Remember, we're looking back. Can't remember the exact levels, but I remember I think it was like a bridge section. They repeated that level so many times, like the same design over and over. I felt like 5 times, going through the same corridor, and it was enough that it was too repetitive. And there was another section, and it's called the library, which I remember, and that level was a nightmare at first to get through. I think I was playing on heroic difficulty, and the flood were just coming in, and it did feel repetitive, but at the same time it was forgiving because this is a really old game, 2001 game, and it was a good challenge, and I felt boxed in. But I think other people will think, yeah, this is a little bit too much of the same, maybe even unfair. But at first I thought it was annoying, but then I realized, wow, this is quite scary. All this flood trying to kill you and stuff. Like, they're coming in out of everywhere. Like, it was pretty terrifying. I felt that's what they were going for. So I actually ended up enjoying it, looking back at it now. But anyway, solid game, timeless. I loved it. I will play it again on Legendary, hopefully with my co-op buddies. And that's number 5. So at number 4, this is gonna shock some bitches. It's Halo 3. This shocks me, why I think Halo 3 is 4th place. But I had played the games a much later time. I experienced the games chronological order. I had a kind of a different experience, I'd say, than other people. If I played Halo 3 in 2007 when it first launched, I would definitely feel that I would have loved the campaign more than these other games. But the game, it had great set pieces. There's new gadgets you can use, such as like the bubble shield, if I remember. The pacing was pretty good, I remember. The levels, I remember the first part of this campaign, you're in the jungle, and it felt like a long trail going through and battling your way through it. I loved that. But what I really enjoyed with Halo 3 is it was kind of like a throwback to the first Halo's mysteriousness, because I had these terminals in the Halo, the Arc array. And you know, you can read these terminals. It gives you some lore on the Forerunners, the race for the humans and whatnot. And I just really enjoyed that. So I don't really have anything bad to say about Halo 3. Like, the only thing I can really think of is the cutscenes. You kind of feel like, well, the character models rather, and the cutscenes especially, feel a little bit they've aged. But it's been 12 years. I mean, of course they've aged. But this is coming from playing the Halo 2 anniversary and seeing those cutscenes. You know, it's a big. If you're playing the games in chronological order, you notice the difference. So number 3, this is a tough one. But if we're looking at these games in retrospect, I'm putting Halo 3 ODST at number 3. Now, this game definitely had the best atmosphere and setting out of all the Halo games. Like, well, whilst Halo 1 had, you know, this atmosphere of feeling very lonely and isolated, this game, it felt kind of relaxed in a way. There's freaking jazz music playing as you're going through, like in this setting in this Mombasa city, and it felt calm in some ways, but it also felt it was like a neo-noir detective story because you're going around. I remember, you know, going around in the level and I think you had to find helmets and find your squad and your teammates. And that's another thing, the characters in this game are probably the best and most memorable characters. There's one character in particular called Edward Buck.
My name is Buck, and I'm here to...
Like the leader of the team, and he's voiced by Nathan Fillion, and he's the same guy. He actually appears in Halo 5, and you know, Halo 5, I've not actually played that game. I heard it was terrible though. But the main attraction is the setting, which, you know, I'm a big cyberpunk fan, so when I was like flying around in this city, I felt like I was almost in Blade Runner for a second, like for real, you know. So this number 3 entry is definitely, I'm basing this on the setting, but the music is fantastic. It's like the flow, the pacing is great, investigating and exploring these the more terminals, you know. I like to explore this map, so that's why it gets number 3. So at number 2 we have Halo 2, boys. Now this game, it's the anniversary edition I played of this. I also played the PC version a while back, but I didn't really enjoy the PC version. But the anniversary edition, it had brand spanking new cutscenes. The cutscenes were probably the best game cutscenes I've ever seen. And the cutscenes weren't even done by 343. They were done by this third party organization. I think they're called Blur. But man, they did such a great job with those. The game, if I remember, was probably the most challenging. I hear in Legendary it's like almost impossible to play in Legendary. I played all these games second hardest, but I remember it being quite challenging. The gameplay was amazing. The first time you can dual wield in Halo was from Halo 2. The graphics in the anniversary were fantastic. Like the lighting as well, when you compare to the old version, it's just so much difference. There's 2 playable characters. You play as Arbor and you can play as Master Chief, so you get 2 sides of the war, which I thought was really nice. Great change of pacing there. Music is fantastic. Like there's that one song that's, I believe, I can't remember if they changed it. It's that old metal song. I forgot what it was called, but I think it was in the anniversary. If it wasn't, I remember changing to graphics just to listen to that song because it's pretty badass. And yeah, there's some cool levels in this. I remember this is probably the game that I remember quite a few levels in, like the Scorpion tank on the bridge in Mombasa, and you're shooting the Covenant. They're coming in with their vehicles and their banshees and ghosts. That was just incredible. So I put this at number 2 because I feel like it has kind of the most elements that make it such a great game. But you know, I might remember another Halo game such as ODST more for its saying. This game I do remember because of the levels, but it had so much in it that made it so good, and the changes it made from Halo 1, it made the number 2 spot. Now at number 1, boys, at number 1 we have Halo Reach. Now it gets this spot from a retrospective point of view because this is my introduction to the Halo universe, and this is the game I really recommend you play if you're new to Halo. And you could play Halo 1, sure, you could start off with Halo 1, but this was the game, and I'm so glad I played in chronological order personally, because it just set me up, like, big time for the next one, which was Halo 1. And what is really good is the Steam release of Master Chief Collection. This game's coming out first, and I feel like it's perfect in a lot of ways to release this first, because it's never been remastered before. It's a great, start for anyone who's never played Halo, as I've said. And this game, just imagine, I'm just imagining it. 144 frames per second, my hertz and everything. But the things that make this game good, there's a lot of things. The story was emotional, like I'm not gonna spoil the things that happen in this, but think of Rogue One. If you've seen Star Wars Rogue One, you'll know what I'm saying. But it has a sense of dread. You actually feel you're in danger, even though you're playing as a Spartan, which is quite amazing, because in ODST you're vulnerable, but in this game you're playing as a bunch of Spartans, and you actually feel like, oh, you're gonna probably die. Someone's probably gonna die, or maybe not. There's one section which I think is absolutely amazing, and I don't really want to spoil it in case my friends want to play this with me. But there's a point where you get thrown off a ship and you land back on the planet in a new city, and you feel like you're all alone, and it's just refreshing, a sense of pace, like the change of pace. I didn't expect it. And this game also has my favorite weapon in Halo history, the DMR.
It's just.
It's perfect.
The headshots, great every time, especially when you're playing in a hard difficulty. You want to pop those headshots, it feels good. And the art style is actually probably my favorite of all the Halo games, despite it being, it's a really old game, 2010 on the Xbox. But the potential on PC and Xbox One, bringing it to 1080p, above 60 FPS. But the graphics, they're somewhat grimy. They're warlike. They're more. There's color, of course, in this, but it's more dirty, I would say. It feels more realistic in some ways. But I also do have a history of this game, because I used to watch on YouTube Rooster Teeth, who do fails of the week, and I just fell in love with the theater mode in this game, and I just knew that I would love this. I think that's probably, I feel like even without that, I would still think this is my favorite Halo game. But keep in mind, guys, I've not played a Halo game in almost 5 years, so I absolutely expect my list to change. I might actually make another video when I probably play all the games again, all the Bungie ones, and we'll see what happens.